bath water. It's just under your body temperature, and I turn that hot water off. I don't want it to get any hotter. If it does, I will end up with really dry, pasty cheese, which is icky to eat. I want creamy cheese, so the temperature is important. Turn it off, slow down the speed of the knives. I let the knives gently rotate for another 15 to 20 minutes. I'm now washing the curds, and I'm ripening the curds. I'm washing more of that way out. It just leaches out of the curds, and it goes into that fresh, warm water. It takes a good part of the lactose with it. What is lactose?
Sugar.
Exactly right. Yeah, you guys are not even jet lagged at all, are you?
No,
You're doing good. You are? But you're just so super smart that through the jet lag you can answer all the questions. Good. Okay. Lactose is sugar. Remember that for biology tests. All those words with "ose" at the end of them, glucose, fructose, sucrose, lactose, they're all sugars. Milk sugar makes milk taste good when you drink it, but when it mixes with these two things, it turns sour. So that's why I'm trying to wash it out, because I don't want sour cheese either. I want creamy, mild flavored cheese, so I'm washing the sour stuff out. If the curds are releasing liquid, what's happening to the curds?
Drying out.
Drying out. Crimping, getting smaller, firmer. They're turning into real little pieces of cheese now. That's what I want to have happen. So I'm taking handfuls as this process is going along. When I can open my fist and they stay in a ball, that's a really good sign. When I put my thumb in the middle of it and they all fall apart loosely, I know they're ready to be made into the cheeses now. About one day in the week or so, we make just plain Gouda cheese. The rest of the week, we try to get more creative and we add stuff to it. Now, breathe in real heavy. What do you smell?
Cow turd.
Did you check your shoes? Think again. Smell. You smell spices. Can you recognize what it is?
Paprika?
No? Does it stink? A little bit? You can be honest. Garlic. Very good. It's garlic and chive. We're making garlic and chive cheese today, which on a very hot, muggy day has an extraordinarily strong flavor, and you feel like you're about to pass out just from the smell of the garlic. I'm going to move this real quick. Okay, there you go. Okay, that's garlic and chive. On some days when you come in here, it'll smell really, really good. It'll smell like we're making tacos, and that's cumin cheese day. And I said cumin with a C, not with an H, because I scared a little boy last year. Okay, we don't make cumin cheese here. Cumin cheese smells like tacos. Sometimes when you come in here, it'll smell absolutely heavenly, like we're making pizza or spaghetti sauce, and then we're cooking sun-dried tomatoes and basil and garlic and red bell pepper and black pepper, and we cook that into a sauce and pour that through there. That's Italian cheese day. You guys are all going to have that also on your little cheese boards for lunch today. It makes really good sandwiches. Sometimes when you come in here, everybody in there will be crying. What would cause that?
Onions.
Think further south. Jalapenos. Yes, yes, yes. My mom makes absolutely wonderful Mexican food, and I've probably had it at least once a week for my whole life because she comes from Southern California. Green-eyed blonde that she is. We ate a lot of Mexican food when I grew up. My husband absolutely loves it when he comes home to my parents' house that my mom does this. So as a surprise, when we got back to Holland one year, he made a special cheese for me. But it was a surprise, so he didn't tell me what he was doing. I took our kids to school, I walked in here, and everybody in that cheese-making room, they were all crying. And I thought there'd been an accident, so I went running in to go find out what, the disaster was in there. And there wasn't one. My husband was standing against the wall where there was an outlet, electric outlet, and he had this huge can of jalapenos in one arm, and he had a staff mixer in the other. And he was grinding away, and he was crying. And my husband, hopefully you'll meet him here in a few minutes, is kind of, a macho farmer type guy. And he doesn't cry. So it struck me as funny, and I started giggling. Well, giggling's contagious, so once one person starts giggling, you all start giggling. And we were all crying because the jalapeno oil was in the air, and you can't help you cry. So we were crying, and we were giggling, and we were looking silly. Oh, there's my husband. Can you say hello, darling?
Hoi, Bob.
Sorry. Hey, darling.
Mogen we soep gaan scheppen?
Oh, ja, je kan nu beginnen. Ja, dat is goed. Dank
Hello,
je.
everybody.
So, there he was, grinding up those jalapenos. We're all giggling, we're all crying. Then one of the ladies takes this bag, it's about this big, and it's full of the crushed red chilies, like you put on pizza, bless you. And it also had cayenne powder in it. You guys know what cayenne powder is? The red powder, red chili powder stuff? It's this big bag full of that stuff. She rips it open and she starts dumping it into the tub. What happens?
Everywhere.
Hot. In our eyes, in our sinuses, in our throats. Your throat wants to close to protect your lungs. We were coughing and hacking, and we were definitely not giggling anymore because life was not fun at this particular moment. Meanwhile, the cheese curds, they just keep on ripening, and they don't care how you feel about it. So you have to keep working with the cheese curds. So I ran in the other room. I grabbed a whole bunch of these red bandanas. We tied them around our faces, and we looked like crying, hacking banditos in there that day trying to make this cheese. Yeah, we were traumatized in there. Everybody in here, they were all laughing. laughing. I mean, you know, from this side of the wall it was funny, from that side of the wall it was definitely not. I wanted to call it the Red Hot Chili Pepper cheese. My husband said no, he already had a name for it, and he named it Farmer's Flame because he made it for me. Do you get it? Yeah. Very double Dutch. I thought it was very romantic, so we kept that name. So, if you like to make quesadillas, nachos, tacos, chicken enchiladas, any of that kind of stuff, Farmer's Flame is the cheese with the jalapenos in it, and it's really, really good. We also make a ginger cheese. It's got a little bit of dry ginger in it. We make a paprika onion. We make a wild onion. We make a nut cheese. If any of you in here are allergic to nuts, it's not a nut. It's a clover seed from Greece, and you're perfectly safe. Okay, it's just a clover seed. You won't have any problems with it. Whatever we're going to put in, we put it in there, we mix it up. Once it's mixed up, we take a lid, we take a sieve, and a holy bowl. Now the holy bowls are not consecrated bowls. The holy bowls are what?
Holy strainers.
Yeah, they're strainers. They are. They're strainers. They're holy bowls. Okay, so scoop the curds out. Put them into the holy bowl, mound the curds high, lid goes on, it sits about here, under the presses, compresses the curds together, squeezes that way, and water out. In just a few minutes, it's the cheese. It goes really fast. And we flip it over. We do that so that both sides will be uniformly round. Back into the holy bowl, and then we put these labels on top of the cheese. Now these labels are part of the inspection system for all cheesemakers in Europe, the whole EU. 4 points means that it's raw milk cheese. That's typically associated with farm cheese. If it were circular, it would mean that it was pasteurized milk cheese, and that's more closely associated with factories. Which one do I make?
4 point.
4 point.
4 point, which means it's
Farmer's cheese.
farmer's cheese, which means it's raw milk cheese. That goes onto the cheese, the lid goes on, back under the presses again, and that little label presses right down into the cheese, and it will look like that. You guys see that? So, any inspector, any customs official who got curious where did that cheese come from, they can type that little number into their computer program and they can come right back to our farm. So it's a really, really good system to protect the consumer if anything should go wrong. Or if they want to give us a prize if we're doing it really super good. It can work both ways. Now, after they're done under the presses, they go into the salt baths. The salt baths are about 20% salt. How many of you have swam in the ocean? Quite a few of you. Was it salty?
A little bit. Depends where.
Yeah, but on average, they're all about, on average, 7%. Salt baths are 20%. That means it's almost 3 times saltier than the ocean. So think about the last time you swam in the ocean and think about that much salt in your eyes and on your hair and your skin. And that's a lot of salt. Look, it has 3 functions for the cheese. What are the 3 things that the salt bath does for the cheese?
Gives it flavor.
Preserves it, gives it flavor. Draws off the water. Exactly. To solidify that cheese and seal the rind. Everybody wiggle your knees right quick. I'm almost done. But I can see some of you fading. Then you're going to go eat lunch. Okay, they come out. You can stop wiggling now. I think you guys are all good now. When they come out, they dry for 1 day on wooden planks. They go in the next room and we start waxing them. That was just a camera, right?
Yep.
Okay. Can you find it? You got everything? It's okay? Okay, so long as it was your camera and not you. We're okay. This is what they look like before they're waxed. That's just a naked cheese. Here it is when it's dressed. And all we've done is just smeared on liquid paraffin. It dries into a nice waxed shell. Everybody in the Western world, for whatever reason, feels better if butter and cheese are yellow or orange. So there's a little bit of food coloring in the wax, but there's no food coloring in the cheese. Okay, the wax keeps the cheese from drying out too quickly and keeps contaminants from getting into the cheese. It also lets the cheese sweat. Sweating is how Dutch cheese ages. As it sweats, it releases a little bit of liquid and a little bit of the fat. It becomes more concentrated. As it becomes more concentrated, it becomes sharper in flavor. But it also becomes smaller and harder, right? Because it's losing liquid. So this one's a few weeks old. It's going to be very soft to the touch. You can squeeze it. This is what you're going to be eating for lunch in a few minutes. It'll be easy to slice. It'll be mild in flavor. I encourage you, when you get in the shop in a little while, squeeze the cheeses. That's how you're going to know how old they are. The softer a cheese is, the younger it is, the harder a cheese is, the firmer a cheese is, the older it is. Do not go around squeezing each other for the same reason, because we work inversely to that process. Okay, so this one's a few weeks old, this one's a few months old, this one's a few years old. Wow. See that working? Now these top 2 are still perfectly edible, we just use them differently. We like all 10 of our fingers, so we don't try to slice them anymore. Okay, we grate them at that point. So I've got 4 kids, my husband and I. If we're having pizza, pasta, soup, salad, anything like that, then I just put a hunk of the old cheese, the mature cheese on the table, and a grater. We use these graters because if I put the big silver grater on the table, my little kids grate the backside of their knuckles with it. So this one they're using in their grating hand, and they only grate the cheese. So they just pass it around the table, and they grate away. And it's just like having a Parmesan on the table, except it's our own Gouda cheese. When we're done, we put it in a Ziploc baggie, and we put it in the refrigerator, and we're all done. With these cheeses don't have to be refrigerated. For your convenience, we'll vacuum pack them for you for free, and then you can just toss them in your baggage and forget about it. They don't have to be refrigerated, and in the vacuum packing, they won't stink or sweat on any of your clothes, which is rather convenient because you don't want to go around Europe smelling like a cheese. Okay, so you won't, once they're vacuum packed. The other nice thing about the vacuum packing is it's going to make your life a breeze. With your customs officer on the way back, cheese is legal. You may take cheese back to the States with you. On your customs form in the airplane, it's going to say, do you have food? Dutch cheese and Belgian chocolates are what? Food. They're all food. So claim them on your customs form. It's all legal. You just have to claim it. So there's a little box that'll say, do you have food? Yes, if you've got food with you. And then you might, in little block letters, bless you, write right above it what it is. Vacuum packed Dutch Gouda cheese or boxed Belgian chocolate, because your customs official just loves it when you make their life easier for them. When they know what you've got, you just fly through. Now, when you're ready to eat it, you just cut a bit off the side, and then this is the part that you guys are going to be doing in the lunchroom, so pay attention. The cheeses are all going to look like this on a platter in the middle of your tables. It'll already be trimmed, but if you guys are slicing it and you get down to the wax, then you just go a little bit around the edge of the cheese slicer, and you take a little bit more of the wax off so that you've got a nice lip around it. Do you see that? Because frankly, to eat wax is icky. It doesn't chew well, it doesn't swallow well, it doesn't taste good, so just stick with the cheese. Put your slicer up here on top, and then pull straight back towards yourself, and you'll get a nice, long, thin slice of cheese. So I like the Dutch slicers because they make slices, not slabs. They're really, really easy. The key is to always start at the top and pull all the way back. Do not start in the middle. If you start in the middle, you're going to make a boat. And you guys have just started your trip. You don't want to make enemies right in the beginning, right? You guys have to be together a long time, so keep it flat. Now, do you have any questions for me?